Jungkook breaks down in tears, ignoring Jimin for Cha Eun-woo, has the most unbreakable bond in K-pop finally shattered. A single tear rolled down Jungkook's cheek, not on stage, not during a farewell speech, but in a moment so unscripted and raw that even the camera crew stopped moving. It wasn't the emotional release fans had hoped to see during BTS milestones or solo breakthroughs. Instead, it came in the wake of something far more disorienting: the painful unraveling of a friendship once considered sacred. And the reason? Cha Eun-woo. What happened between Jungkook and Jimin? Why is Jungkook now seen laughing in candid behind-the-scenes clips with Cha Eun-woo, while completely silent when Jimin unveiled one of the most vulnerable projects of his career? Fans across the globe are asking, has Jungkook emotionally abandoned Jimin in favor of a new brotherhood with Eun-woo? Or is there something deeper brewing beneath the surface? The K-pop world, always hungry for clues, was thrown into turmoil when Jungkook, who had long been private and notoriously reserved about his social ties, was seen enjoying a public coffee outing with Astro's Cha Eun-woo. They weren't just walking side by side. They were grinning, joking, exchanging quiet whispers that made it into a now viral behind-the-scenes video. Yet, only days earlier, Jimin had released a solo teaser, one that fans called the rawest expression of his inner self. The silence from Jungkook? Deafening. This was no accidental oversight. No forgotten double tap on Instagram. It was complete erasure. And for many fans, it was the final nail in the coffin of what once seemed like the most unbreakable friendship in K-pop. The timing couldn't have been more suspicious. Mere hours after Jungkook commented warmly on Eunwoo's upcoming solo venture, something he rarely does, even for his closest friends, Jimin released his own teaser. A teaser that bared his emotional soul. But Jungkook said nothing. No likes. No comments. No signs of life. Just an eerie absence. Noticed immediately by ARMYs who had watched Jungkook for years always be the first to uplift Jimin. Is it fair to question his loyalty? Given his history with Jimin, years of public praise, protective gestures, emotional speeches, fans think so. For years, Jungkook had been Jimin's most enthusiastic supporter. But now, his name is missing in action at a time when Jimin arguably needed him the most. The shift didn't go unnoticed. He has time to smile with Cha Eun-woo. One tweet read, but not a second to say even a single word about Jimin's project. The tweet, clocking in at over 300,000 likes, echoed the pain of a fractured fanbase, unsure how to process a reality in which the iconic duo, dubbed Jikook by millions, may no longer stand united. Some defend Jungkook, arguing that his support might have been expressed privately. But the silence on public platforms, where he once proudly lifted Jimin in front of millions, now speaks volumes. The emotional withdrawal is too consistent to be ignored. This wasn't just a missed comment. It was an entire shift in behavior. Fans dug deeper and noticed a growing pattern. While Jungkook's online and offline interactions with Cha Eun-woo became increasingly affectionate and visible, his connection to Jimin began fading. Fast, the backlash was immediate and emotional. Social media exploded. TikTok clips dissected every look, every gesture. Fans split into opposing factions. Some claiming Jimin had pushed Jungkook away behind the scenes, others insisting Jungkook had simply outgrown their bond. But one thing was clear, something had changed. And no one was ready for it. According to insiders, Jungkook and Eun-woo had grown close over the past year, particularly during a difficult period in Jungkook's solo development. Their late-night conversations, joint training sessions, and shared moments reportedly became an emotional refuge for Jungkook. But what did that mean for Jimin? For longtime fans, the pain wasn't in Jungkook finding new friendships. It was in what he seemed willing to let go to pursue them. Theories took darker turns. Was Jungkook distancing himself from Jimin intentionally, perhaps under management's direction? Some speculated that distancing himself publicly from BTS members was a slow burn strategy, a way to ease fans into the reality of long-term solo careers. Yet this cold logic did little to comfort the hearts of millions who remembered Jungkook once calling Jimin his greatest inspiration. Even more haunting was Jimin's cryptic post days after Jungkook's zoo outing with Eun-woo went viral. A caption that read, "Some people stay by your side only until their path changes," with no tags, no emojis, just words, sharp and direct. He didn't need to name anyone. Fans already knew. Now the community is fractured. Korean fans argue that Jungkook may be emotionally protecting himself from unresolved pain, perhaps stemming from an alleged conflict earlier in the year, where rumors claim Jimin lashed out during a stressful rehearsal. Jungkook, according to this theory, wasn't abandoning Jimin. He was quietly nursing a wound the public never saw. But for international fans, this doesn't hold up. How can someone who once fiercely cheered for Jimin now sit silent as he unveils a project so close to his heart? Even a simple emoji would have meant the world, one fan wrote. Instead, we got selfies with Eun-woo and total silence for Jimin. Adding more confusion, Jimin's late-night voice message added fuel to the fire. "I hope time heals the misunderstandings that should have never happened." His voice was fragile, heavy, full of hurt. Fans were certain he was talking about Jungkook. Some now believe Jungkook never stopped caring. In a stunning twist, an anonymous staff member claimed to have overheard Jungkook quietly asking backstage, "Is he doing okay today?" He didn't mention Jimin by name, but his tone, they said, was filled with a quiet, genuine worry. The same source claimed Jungkook lingered near Jimin's schedule board, staring at his name for a few moments before walking away. Was this guilt? Nostalgia? Or proof that behind all the silence and social media noise, the bond still lingers, wounded, but alive? As these whispers spread, fans clung to them. Could it be that Jungkook's emotional distance isn't a betrayal, but survival? That his closeness to Eun-woo isn't disloyalty, but an emotional anchor during uncertain times. Still, the damage is done. Every new post from Jungkook with Eun-woo, every unliked photo from Jimin, becomes another cut. Fans have turned their grief into online investigations, scouring timelines, analyzing behavior, trying to make sense of the collapse of a relationship that once seemed invincible. INA fandom as emotionally connected as BTS's. These shifts feel personal. Fans don't just see idols on a stage. They see them in each other, in their own friendships, their own heartbreaks. So when Jungkook cries, it's not just his tears that fall. It's the tears of millions who believed that some bonds were forever. The most painful question now looms larger than ever. When did Jungkook stop being Jimin's loudest supporter and start becoming someone else's instead? Every second of silence grows heavier. Every smile for Eun-woo feels more like a dagger. And every word Jimin doesn't say feels like a scream no one can hear. Jungkook's tears, caught in a fleeting moment offstage, told a story louder than any press release ever could. They weren't just about pressure or fatigue. To many fans, they were about loss, about longing, about the weight of a connection that once lifted them both, now fraying under the crushing expectations of the spotlight. The final verdict? It hasn't come yet, because in the midst of this emotional battlefield, one question remains unanswered, burning across every forum, every trending topic, every comment section. If Jungkook still asks about Jimin in private, why can't he stand beside him in public? And if he truly still cares, what is stopping him? Perhaps we'll never get a clear answer. Perhaps the silence will stretch on until it becomes permanent. Or maybe, just maybe, the day will come when Jungkook steps forward once again, not with another tear, not with another whisper, but with a hand extended, proving to fans everywhere that not all stories end in silence. Until then, the fandom waits. Not for apologies, not even for clarity, but for hope. Jungkook's silence, Jimin's vulnerability, and the Cha Eun-woo dilemma. Is this truth, betrayal, or manufactured drama? In the midst of emotional tremors that have shaken one of the most devoted fan bases in modern entertainment, we must now ask a more urgent question. perhaps the most critical of all, is everything we are witnessing real? Or are we being pulled into a web of illusion deliberately constructed to provoke, divide, and manipulate? The shift in Jungkook's public posture, the strategic silences, the tearful whispers allegedly caught off stage, and the rise of Cha Eun-woo as a visible companion, are these authentic reflections of a fractured brotherhood? Or are they the byproduct of algorithm-driven narratives meant to captivate public consciousness? Let us begin by acknowledging the uncomfortable foundation on which this entire discourse rests. None of the details surrounding Jungkook and Jimin's supposed emotional divide are confirmed by official channels. Everything we know, every tear analyzed, every silence scrutinized, every social media omission interpreted, comes from secondary interpretations. These interpretations are then amplified by platforms optimized for engagement, not for truth. What does this mean for us as consumers of this unfolding drama? It means we are participating in an information economy that thrives not on confirmation but on speculation. It rewards emotional volatility over objectivity. It prioritizes virality over verification. This is not merely an entertainment issue, it is a sociological concern. The public's willingness to construct meaning around ambiguous behavior, likes, comments, follow-backs, reveals the extent to which parasocial relationships are now embedded into the psychological infrastructure of fandom itself. Should Jungkook's silence on Jimin's vulnerable project be interpreted as emotional betrayal? Or is it possible that his lack of public engagement reflects internal conflicts, privacy decisions, or even management-level restrictions that we are not privy to? Why do we interpret what is unseen as inherently malicious? Why do we assume the absence of a comment equates to the absence of care? Similarly, can we assert with certainty that his closeness to Cha Eun-woo represents the erosion of his bond with Jimin? Is it not possible for two friendships to coexist, for affection to be divided without becoming diluted? Or are we, as spectators, unconsciously demanding exclusivity and emotional loyalty, projecting our own relational insecurities onto individuals we do not actually know? More critically, we must confront the possibility that the entire narrative, every piece of speculation, every emotionally charged tweet, every frame of supposed behind-the-scenes tension, is the result of a manufactured discourse fueled by user-generated media loops. Are we witnessing reality? Or are we merely amplifying a constructed illusion designed to incite emotional engagement? This article, like many others circulating on platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and online forums, draws upon fragments of visible behavior. Yet fragments are not facts. They are pieces, selectively amplified, recontextualized, and emotionally interpreted by audiences operating within echo chambers. These chambers reward intensity, not introspection. For example, consider the viral video of Jungkook at the zoo with Eun-woo. Millions watched. Thousands commented. Emotions erupted. But what do we truly know about that moment? Was it an informal gathering? A spontaneous reunion? A scheduled shoot? We do not know. And yet, we have built entire narratives, accusations of betrayal, heartbreak, abandonment, upon an event we did not witness in context. Is it ethical to do so? We must also reflect on the emotional labor we impose upon these individuals. Are we not guilty of demanding visibility from people whose private struggles we cannot fathom? Jungkook's tear, caught in what was described as a non-scripted, raw moment, may not even be related to Jimin or Eun-woo. It could reflect pressures invisible to us, career fatigue, performance anxiety, or entirely unrelated grief. Is it not an act of emotional arrogance to claim we know what a tear means when it was never addressed by the person who shed it? And what of Jimin's cryptic caption? Some people stay by your side only until their path changes? Do we know for certain that it refers to Jungkook? Could it not be a reflection on fame, identity, or another relationship entirely? Why do we assume every ambiguous message is a declaration of war? Is it because we crave conflict, or because we fear uncertainty more than we fear misinformation? These are not rhetorical questions. They are imperative to end the age of digital narrative construction, where the line between authenticity and performance is increasingly blurred. We must ask, who benefits from these public fractures? When a fandom is split into factions, some defending Jungkook, others mourning Jimin, engagement rises. Traffic increases. Monetized platforms win. Are we the audience? Or are we the product? Consider how rapidly speculation morphs into belief. A whisper from an anonymous staff member becomes a headline. A late-night voice message turns into a public plea. A mislike is elevated to evidence. What does this say about the integrity of our interpretative habits? Are we too eager to believe in heartbreak simply because it validates our emotional investments? It is crucial to remember that these assumptions, no matter how well argued or emotionally persuasive, remain unverifiable. TikTok edits, Twitter threads, fan translations, and YouTube analyses are not sources of truth. They are reflections, sometimes intelligent, sometimes irresponsible, of audience emotion. Yet we treat them as documentation. As proof that I am doing so, are we not eroding the very distinction between entertainment and reality? The digital age has turned emotional proximity into a currency. Fandom is no longer just appreciation, it is identification. As such, the perceived unraveling of a bond between Jungkook and Jimin becomes personal, painful, devastating. But is this pain rooted in fact or fiction? We urge readers to pause. We urge you to interrogate your own emotional responses. Ask yourselves, why do I believe this is true? What evidence am I using? Have I cross-verified these claims? Am I reacting to what happened or to what I think happened? Ask further. Would it be possible for me to accept that I may never know the full story? Am I projecting my personal need for emotional clarity onto two individuals who owe me neither explanation nor narrative cohesion? And finally, am I complicit in spreading emotional disinformation for the sake of outrage, solidarity, or virtual catharsis? These are not comfortable questions, but they are essential because if we are to be responsible members of the digital audience, particularly one as vast and passionate as the global BTS army, we must hold ourselves to higher standards of interpretation, analysis, and skepticism. Sentiment is not a substitute for truth. Engagement is not a substitute for ethics. The emotional trauma reportedly surrounding Jungkook, Jimin, and Cha Eun-woo may indeed be real, but it also may not. It may be misunderstood, misrepresented, misused in a world where algorithms elevate the loudest interpretation. Silence becomes suspicious, tears become evidence, and friendship becomes factionalized. But we must resist these pressures. We must reclaim our critical distance. Truth cannot survive in an environment that values speed over scrutiny. Therefore, we end this article with a direct appeal to every reader, every viewer, every emotionally invested follower of this story. Do not stop asking questions. Do not settle for the version of truth that is most dramatic. Do not elevate speculation into doctrine. Do not allow entertainment to disguise itself as journalism. And above all, do not forget that Jungkook and Jimin, despite their mythologized personas, are human beings entitled to complexity, contradiction, privacy, and evolution. Let us not imprison them within the narrative cages we have built from pixels, posts, and projections. Let us instead choose reflection over reaction, dialogue over division, and truth over theatrics. Only then will we begin to see not what the algorithms want us to believe, but what truly matters behind the screen. Thank you.